Hey math fans, test 14, lesson 4. Grab your swords and let's go. Today we're going to talk about how to estimate angles and how to place mixed numbers on a number line. So we'll start by estimating angles. We can estimate angles the same way we estimate percents, by having a frame of reference in our heads for comparison. That just means we want to have a picture in our head of what certain angles look like, and that will help us do better estimations. So for example, we know that if an angle is acute, it has to be in between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. This purple line here shows a 90-degree angle. Halfway between 0 and 90 would be 45 degrees. So if you have 90 degrees in your head, and you know what that looks like, and you have in your head that 45 is in between, from there it's pretty easy to start estimating. If I said 20, well, you know it's got to be less, about halfway between 45 and 0, so it'd be about here. If I said 85, you know that's going to be pretty close to 90, but not quite. So having these two angles, 45 for your acute, 90 for your halfway measure, will help you do estimation. And I can estimate obtuse angles the same way. So I already know, I have my frame of reference that 90 degrees is the L shape, 45 is about halfway in between. Going this way, I know that 180 is a straight line. Halfway between 90 degrees and 180 degrees would be 135 degrees. So this is another useful one to have in your head. If you know that 180 is a straight line, 90 is the L shape, and 45 is about halfway this way, and 135 is about halfway this way, then it's not too hard to do an estimation. If I asked you to estimate an angle of 115 degrees, you would know it had to be bigger than 90, but smaller than 135. So you would know it was in here somewhere. So if you have these in your head, it makes it a little easier to do estimation. Now if an angle is a reflex angle, we know it's going to be someplace between 180, which is a straight line, and 360, which would be a full circle. Halfway between 180 and 360 is 270. So this is another useful angle just to be aware of. This would be the angle of 270 degrees. If you know that that's a 270 degree angle, this is 180, and that a full circle would be 360, again, it just makes it a little easier to do estimation. So again, we want to have a couple frames of reference in our head. We want to know that a straight line is 180, that a circle is 360, that halfway between a straight line and a full circle will give me 270, and we want to know that 90 is going to be straight up and down, 45 is halfway between on the acute side, and 135 is halfway between on the obtuse side. If you know those, it makes estimation much easier. And our second objective for today is to place mixed numbers on a number line. So here's a question asking me to place the mixed number 7.5 on the number line. So I'm going to go ahead and number the number line. So let's start at 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have to decide where would 7.5 go. Well, I know that a half means that I've taken the space between 7 and 8 and divided it into exactly 2 parts, and I've used up one of them. So 7.5 would go right here on the number line, halfway between 7 and 8, which makes sense. This one's a little trickier. They've asked me to place the mixed number 3 7/8 on the number line. So I'll go through and label that. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now 3 7/8. 7/8 means not quite one whole, but it's going to be close to a whole. So if I took this space in between 3 and 4 and I divided it into 8 equal parts, 7 of them would be filled in. I'm just going to estimate for this. I don't really need to take a ruler and divide it into 8 equal parts. 7/8 would probably be about here. This would probably be 3 7/8 because it's close to 4, but not quite there. So now you try one. Place the mixed number 11 2/10 on the number line. Just pause the video for a second and see if you can figure out where 11 2/10 should go. So if I label this number line, well, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2/10 is pretty small. It's more than 11, but it's quite a bit less than 12, so I'm going to estimate it's probably going to go somewhere around here. So if your estimation was close to mine, then you are in good shape. And we just had a short lesson today, mostly review. So for part 1 here on your review, you're going to identify each angle as acute, right, obtuse, or reflex. And then for part B, estimate what the measurement of each angle would be. For number 2, you're going to copy the number line below and mark 4 3/4 where it should go on the number line. Pretty quick, pretty easy, and that's it. So have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.